Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie and I like to make pictures. So as well as painting this lovely lass today, I also want to talk a bit on how I stayed sane while I was unemployed. First, a little bit about what I'm doing right now. I'm starting off with my sketch. I don't usually show my sketching process just because it's always super messy and all over the place. I know this one looks clean now, but that's because I went from my sketchbook to a piece of tracing paper and then I taped it to my window and transferred it to my watercolor paper. People always do those sketchbook videos and they always, like, their sketchbooks always look so nice and so put together, but mine is always like a big disaster, and I don't think you're ever gonna see it. I'm sorry. The paper I'm using today is from Canson, and I'm using Dr. P.H. Martin's India ink in Hicarb black, and a very fine brush to do my line work. I finally bought new issues for inking, and man, I am so pumped. They are so fine. It's so nice. So I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I had recently gotten a new job. I'd quit my previous one just because I was super done with the management there. And then it was just kind of one thing after another, and I ended up unemployed for about a month and a half. I know that's not actually a super long time. Finding a job isn't easy, and I know lots of people who have had a much harder time with it than I did, and who go unemployed for much longer periods of time. So I definitely recognize it, that a lot of people have had it worse than me, and I definitely recognize my privilege there. But honestly, I'm such a workaholic. I've not been unemployed since I was like 14, and I'm not really making enough money for my art at this point to be able to support myself on that alone. So it was really hard for me. I think the biggest thing that helped me stay sane and stay focused was to set a really rigid schedule for myself. Just kind of having that structure, you know? It was so tempting to sleep in all the time. Oh man, especially since my boyfriend works late in the day and he usually sleeps late. But I knew that once I did get a job, I might need to wake up early to get there on time. And I also know myself really well. I know that once I start sleeping in, I have a really hard time adjusting my sleeping schedule so that I can wake up early without being completely miserable. So I made a very strict habit of waking up at 8 o'clock every single day, and I'd take the time in the morning to eat breakfast, to take care of myself. Then I would start with the job hunting. I'm setting strict goals. I had to do a minimum of 10 applications every single day, and for each application I would customize my resume to that specific job, and I would write a well-constructed cover letter. I was really trying to go for quality over quantity. Quantity is obviously important, but I really wanted to set a bit of a higher standard for myself than I had in the past. And while I definitely needed a day job, I think I'd be doing myself a huge disservice if I didn't spend any time on my art. So I ended up starting this YouTube channel actually as a way to motivate myself to do more art. I finished pieces that had been sitting around for months. I made new pieces. I set aside time almost every day to work on my art and to work on making it into more of a business for myself. Obviously, my day would move around a bit to accommodate for job interviews and anything else that might pop up. Oh, I guess I should do a little progress update. You may have noticed me painting all that white stuff along the sides of her arms like a minute or so ago. That's just a masking fluid that's going to keep those spots nice and clean while I paint over it. The watercolors I'm using today, as usual, are from QoR. Once the paint on and around the masking fluid spots are completely dry, I can just rub it off with my fingers and we have all these nice clean spots. I wanted the dress to look kind of mesh and sheer, and the dressers to look more embroidered. You'll notice that I didn't actually line the feathers with the ink at all. That was just one of the tactics I used to kind of separate them from the rest of the painting, and especially separate them from the actual feathers sprouting out of her head. I wanted them to feel like they were in a slightly different world. But for anyone else who might be struggling a bit with staying motivated while on the job hunt, think about what's important to you and make sure you work it into your day. Set goals, manage your time strictly, but it's also really important to be flexible. And don't forget to take care of yourself. Do your laundry, do your dishes, cook dinner instead of ordering Domino's every other day. Take care of your body. I actually ended up developing a skincare routine, and I'm still sticking to it actually. I would spend the time each morning to take care of my skin and even do my makeup. I found it to be really good for keeping up my morale, just kind of taking that time to make myself feel good about myself every day. It just really helped keep my mood up, keep me motivated. Even if you're not into makeup, like that's fine, whatever, but at the very least, shower regularly and get dressed in the morning. I know it's really easy to just hang out in your pajamas all day if you don't have to go anywhere, but I found that when I did that, I was a lot more likely to spend the day just playing video games. Just when I didn't spend that time to make myself look a little more presentable. It seems like something so small, but I find it really helps to put myself into that kind of like work mode, and I think I was a lot more productive on those days as a result of that. I should also note that these are all just things that worked really well for me. Everybody's a little bit different, right? So what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. Different people thrive under different environments, and that's okay. I just wanted to talk about this for anyone who might be in a little bit of a rut lately, or anyone who's having a hard time keeping motivated. There's no other way to word it, really. Job hunting sucks. Applying to place after place and hearing nothing back hurts, and it's really hard not to take things personally. Whenever I got into that mode of thinking, I would try to think back to my last job. Whenever we were hiring, we would literally get hundreds of emails, and it's impossible to look through every single one. We got so many. The manager would literally just print off like 10 or 20 at random and have me look through them and then call the good ones among those to book interviews. But like, there's still hundreds of people whose resumes never even got opened, and that's not their fault. I'm sure there were some spectacular people in there, but because of the sheer volume of applications we were getting, we just couldn't get to them. So yeah, just thinking about that really helped separate myself from it all a little bit. Someone not calling me back doesn't mean they don't think that I could be a great fit for their company. There's just a really good chance that they didn't see it. It's not me. It's them. Not even them. Like it's not anyone's fault really. And I get that. So like, I did kind of mess up a little bit with this one, and I totally forgot to film myself painting the background. Like, I painted the entire background with my camera sitting right beside my palette, and I didn't realize it until after I'd finished, and I went to turn off the camera, and it wasn't there. So, oops. But I did include this super satisfying masking tape peel. Ooh, I really should tape my edges more often. It's so satisfying when you peel it off. And now I'm just finishing off the piece with a few little touches of white gouache for some highlights, bringing out the brights. And here is the finished piece, you guys. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'm so happy with the color scheme. I've been kind of sketching this one out for a while, and I love how it turned out. I'm so happy with it. If you want to see more of my work, you can view it on my website at KTAddison.com, my Instagram at KTAddisonDraws, and I have my new Society 6 shop just under the name KTAddison. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!